Hello and welcome to Middle Class Film Class. I'm Peter.
I am Joseph.
I'm Tyler.
And this week the Wheel of Destiny landed on my pick, Moon.
2 weeks to go, Sam.
2 weeks to go, buddy.
I'm going home.
Looks like we got a live one. I'm gonna go out.
Okay, Sam.
Leaving surround working perimeter.
What's going on? Where did he come from? How does he look like me?
You've been up here too long, man. You lost your marbles.
Perhaps you're imagining things.
Now I'm really excited to break this movie down with you guys a little bit later, but first we need to get in some streaming picks. So, Joseph, you want to go first?
Sure. I have a streaming pick. I have one streaming pick this week. It is on Netflix, and it is directed by the guy who directed Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man Homecoming, the new Spider-Man series in the MCU. This was before Spider-Man.
I know what this is.
He directed this movie called Cop Car.
Oh, yes, Cop Car.
Never heard of it.
It's
Cop
fun.
Car. Cop Car stars Kevin Bacon, James Friedson Jackson, Hayes Welford, and Shea Wiggum. So Cop Car, basic plot, one-sentence plot. A small-town sheriff sets out to find the two kids who have taken his car on a joyride. Going into it, I had no idea what to think. It was recommended to me by someone at work. Based on the cover alone and the title, I really had no idea. I thought it looked like a comedy, honestly.
It sounds like a comedy. It sounds
yeah,
like a Baby's Day Out sort of movie just by the title alone.
So this movie is actually very anxiety-inducing, very intense, but in the most casual manner that I've ever seen.
Like the actors on screen are very casual about it, but the audience is like,
it's like, yeah, if you want to wince your way through a whole movie, this is the movie to do it.
Damn.
It's very
how old
very
do you think
thrilling.
the kids are, Joseph?
I mean,
12, maybe?
younger. I'd probably
10?
they're probably younger than 10. I wouldn't say older. No older than 10. And they're the most naive, innocent children that you've ever seen in a movie.
This was the director from Spider-Man?
Yes, this came out in 2015 before Spider-Man. If you're looking for a casual, intense thriller with involving children and Kevin Bacon, then Cop Car is the movie for you.
Casually intense.
There's long scenes in this movie that are like just like whimsical, and you're like, these freaking kids, and then some very intense things happen. It's a pretty weird mix.
That's awesome.
At first, it's like, haha, we're kids, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, you kids!
It's a great one to go in blind to because you have zero expectations because the feel of the movie is so all over the place.
Yeah. So Cop Car on Netflix. Tyler?
All right, my streaming pick is also on Netflix. My streaming pick is Ex Machina, directed by Alex Garland.
Nice.
This movie is about Jesse Eisenberg visiting Harvey Weinstein at his compound in Alaska.
That's great.
It stars Oscar Isaac, who is one of my favorite actors in the industry today as far as character roles go. But for real, this movie is about, it's a sci-fi drama about some young programmer who is selected through a lottery to go to the company that he works for's owner's compound to evaluate the human qualities of highly advanced humanoid AI. I recommend this movie a lot if you're into Alex Garland films, which he directed one of my most favorite movies, Annihilation, which I suggest you guys check out as well, which is also on Hulu.
He also directed Dread.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he did.
He has a good, distinct directing sort of feel to his movies. It's really just I don't know. It's like a warm blanket to me with the kind of the kind of filter he uses for his shots. It's just kind of just really sucks you in. So yeah, Ex Machina, can't recommend it enough. Can't really talk about it because there's like some serious spoilers in talking further about it. And this is on Netflix.
And one of the best tension relievers in a movie that I've ever seen.
I gotta say, I love the ending of this movie too.
Which, Joseph, without giving anything away, what tension reliever? The dance scene?
Let's just say there's dancing involved.
That's so good. Oh, that scene's so good.
Very off-putting, but yeah, I enjoyed that one.
It's more like, what the fuck is going on? But this is amazing at the same time.
It reminded me a little bit of the scene in near the end of Gamer with Gerard Butler, where he does that whole choreographed dance routine for "You've Got Me Under Your Spell."
Yes,
oh, it's a great scene.
Yeah.
It's a funny scene too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ex Machina, streaming on Netflix now. I would recommend you watch it as soon as possible. As soon as you're done listening to this, and please just listen to this.
Just stop. Turn this off now. Go watch Ex Machina. All right. Well, you got just the one today, this week?
Yeah, just that
Great.
one. Yep.
Perfect. All right. So my streaming picks, I got two. I'll make them quick. First one is on Amazon Prime. Is Good Time 2017, another A24 movie. Robert Pattinson, and I didn't get the name of the second lead. He plays his brother.
He's one of the directors, I think.
Yeah, he directed the movie. And the plot basically is that Robert Pattinson is a ne'er-do-well. His brother is he wears 2 hearing aids. He's talks with a heavy speech impediment, like he's mostly deaf, and he has some sort of mental handicap. And from the first scene in this movie, your heart just absolutely breaks for the brother, and it's so well done that you think to yourself, is this guy actually handicapped? Is this guy actually deaf too? And no, he's not. He's the director, which is really interesting. So that character plays a pretty small role in it, but it's really the Robert Pattinson show because they do a bank heist together. They're both, the older brother's a criminal. He brings his younger brother up with him, and he gets nabbed in the heist, and Robert Pattinson gets away. And the whole movie is him trying to get him out of jail. He's frantically doing everything he can, borrowing money from his girlfriend, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, $10,000 to bail his brother out of jail, and one thing after another happens, and I had no idea what was going to happen next every single scene, but it was really well done. So it had a vague Drive sort of feel, a lot of neon lights and synth soundtrack. So totally worth a watch. A little sad, but pretty well done. Like a low budget A24 movie.
I feel like a lot of Robert Pattinson's movies recently are just like really sad and depressing because he's trying to redeem himself after Twilight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. He's doing the who's the guy that played Harry Potter?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. It's like after that, he was like doing like nude on stage Broadway, and like really off the wall stuff, just to be like, I'm not him anymore, okay?
It was really successful for him too. So
I'm me.
Actually, since we're all real big fans of Robert Eggers, and The Lighthouse is coming out, which we're really stoked about. Mm-hmm. I think this is gonna be his role where he finally breaks out of like, I can not have to be in an art movie anymore to prove my chops. Like,
I mean, he's Batman now.
That's right.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Hey, spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I ended up picking this just for one. I'd been seeing it around since it came out, and I saw it was streaming on Amazon Prime, and for two, with the Lighthouse coming out, I wanted to see another dramatic version of a Robert Pattinson movie. And we mentioned The Rover last week with him in it, and that kind of woke me up to the fact that he's actually a pretty good actor, and he's nails it in this too. So, side note: if you don't have Amazon Prime, mentioned it last week, get it. There's so many good like Halloween movies alone.
Oh yeah.
Getting ready for Halloween: Suspiria, Fifth Element, Under the Silver Lake, Annihilation, 12 Monkeys, Sleepaway Camp, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Hereditary, Rosemary's Baby. You just scroll through, and they're all like household name type movies. So you're not wasting your money if you get that service.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then another quick streaming pick is a movie called Ingrid Goes West from 2017 with Aubrey Plaza, Elizabeth Olsen, and Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson.
I forgot that he was in that movie.
Yeah, he plays a really charismatic, kind of a B story side character. But it's a really good modern take on the stalker genre of movies, and really well done. It plays into the whole society obsessed with social media and Instagram, and gives both sides of it. Not only the people who are kind of faking their amazing life, who is the subject of the stalking, and then the stalker, played by Aubrey Plaza, who just lives this kind of sad, lonely life and is taking on the same sort of, hey, this is my life. My life's so great. She makes her own Instagram account, moves out to LA to follow this person she sees as some sort of influencer on Instagram, and just falls in love with her, basically. And things go south pretty quick. So great movie to watch. I would say this is one to watch with the significant other, a couple of friends. It's a good one. And while we were searching for this, or we're actually searching for a movie, Joseph was actually over at my house this weekend, and we saw this movie, and we're thinking about stalker movies, and we ended up renting on Amazon, The Fanatic with John Travolta, directed by Fred Durst.
Of Limp Bizkit.
Of Limp Bizkit. The Fred Durst.
A.K.A. Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, himself. So it was, basically a two-hander with, who was it? John Travolta and Devon Sawa from Final Destination, Now and Then, and also the character who played Stan in the Eminem music video, Stan, the Obsessed Fan.
Wow.
Which is funny coincidence, but movie's nothing like you expect. What'd you think about that, Joseph?
Going into it, I was expecting a bad movie, and I did get a bad movie, but it was a
Never go full retard.
very well produced bad movie. It was. I was like, damn, the production quality on the movie, and you could tell that there was a lot of passion put into it. Fred Durst really cared about this story and this character, and but I mean, it's just so weird. It's
bonkers. Yeah.
John Travolta plays this obsessive stalker fan of he's into Hollywood memorabilia. His wherever he lives is just covered in posters,
like a decoupage,
trinkets, and
Hollywood memorabilia.
Yeah, and his one of his friends runs like a Hollywood memorabilia shop on Hollywood Boulevard, and
so basically, it's John Travolta's like actual real life.
Yeah, it was weird. I wondered if they filmed at his house in the Hollywood Hills. It was just they used his house as a location for the guy he's obsessed with.
Yeah, for Devon Sawa's character.
Just imagine that conversation with Fred Durst and John Travolta. Just like, hey, I'm from Limp Bizkit. I make movies now. You want to be in it, John Travolta? Yeah, I got no work.
I know I have a soul patch, but take me seriously, please.
Yeah, and I mean, John Travolta plays the character, pretty well.
Beautifully,
honestly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you do kind of feel sad for him.
Oh, I felt legitimately, like, deeply sad for him through a lot of it, and you're just like, oh, this poor guy. He's got to be autistic or something of that nature, and I'd say compared, I kept thinking of what's his name from Sam I Am Sam.
Oh, Sean Penn.
Yeah, Sean Penn.
Yep.
Sean Penn from I Am Sam. Mm-hmm. Just nailed it. Where you're like, if you didn't know who that actor was, you'd probably be thinking, wow, this is a kind of sad that they took this mentally handicapped guy and recorded his life.
Well, it's hard to tell with John Travolta, though.
I know, maybe they did. I don't know.
Did they have to give him that haircut though? I don't understand.
They had to create some sort of thing to stick. Disclaimer, I haven't seen this movie. I've only seen clips on YouTube because of, like, you know, the nature of this movie. I do plan on watching it, though. You guys said you rented it on Amazon Prime.
This is not a sanctioned streaming pick because we actually had to pay $4 for it on Amazon Prime to rent it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but it was such a weird movie and interesting and not what I expected that I felt like I had to bring it up on the show.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. I'm going to
Yeah,
check
I mean,
that out. I am.
The first line of the movie from John Travolta is I can't remember exactly, but verbatim, but he says, like, hold on, I have to poo, or something like that.
Yeah, he starts talking to his friend at the memorabilia shop, and he's like, can't talk now, can't talk long, gotta poo.
Yeah, can't talk long, gotta poo.
Just imagine John Travolta watching this in the theater, like, after, you know, like, his whole career of playing, like, all these iconic roles, and now this is it. I gotta
Then he gives
poo.
himself a standing ovation at the end.
This is iconic. This is
Yeah.
a new John Travolta, whether you like it or not.
His agent's just like, you know, the art house movies are the popular thing now, John. We gotta do that one.
Yeah, there's also these weird animations in the movie.
Oh,
like, these
okay.
weird, like, that are kind of cool, actually, but
It's like scribbled like vignettes.
Yeah,
All right,
but it's also
all
like
right.
kind of out of place a little bit.
I wouldn't say it's anything I would recommend to anybody, but if you're into movies and the idea of a Fred Durst directed biopic about a autistic John Travolta obsessed with a dying action or aging action film star played by Devon Sawa interests you, this is your type of movie.
I promise this is a real movie. I've actually seen clips. It's real.
Yes. It sounds like a movie that you'd see like a trailer for in another movie. Like
Yeah.
all the trailers at the beginning of Tropic Thunder.
Oh,
Like Devil-
Yeah.
Devil's Alley with
Tobey
you know,
Maguire.
MTV Movie Award Best Kiss winner Tobey Maguire
Yeah.
and Kurt Lazarus.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's really something else. So,
Bad boy.
all right, guys, you ready to get on to Moon?
Oh, yeah.
I think we should talk about the Fanatic.
Okay, let's deep dive into the. All right, yeah, Audible.
Let me just watch it really quickly.
All right. All right. Let me get my notes out here. All right, guys. Let's get into Moon. Story by Duncan Jones, the director. Officially written by Nathan Parker, starring Sam Rockwell. Pretty much just Sam Rockwell, but Kevin Spacey is Gertie the robot, and Dominique.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, the late, maybe great Kevin Spacey, and then his a few quick scenes with his wife, Dominique McElligott. So Duncan Jones, if you are a fan of Warcraft, directed the Warcraft movie.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
he also.
Wait, I was going to say, there's actually a connection to 310 to Yuma with
Okay.
Warcraft.
Oh God. Okay.
Ben Foster is actually stars in Warcraft. Who
Really?
He's
plays
the main
Charlie
orc
Prince
or
in
what?
310 to Yuma. I don't know. He's
he on
some
the Horde or
character.
the Alliance?
He's probably an amazing character in Warcraft. Never seen the
He's
movie. but I
Yug
saw-
Nug the orc.
Yug Nug, yeah. Yug Nug.
Yeah, so Duncan Jones did Source Code, which was actually pretty decent, and then a really weird Netflix movie. I think it went straight to Netflix called Mute.
Oh, the Paul Rudd movie?
Yeah, Paul Rudd and one of the Skarsgårds, and yeah, it was like a fever dream on peyote. It was really something. It was really weird.
Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you ever take ayahuasca, watch that movie and
Ayahuasca.
kiss your reality goodbye because you'll never be the same.
Yeah.
So Moon focuses on Sam Bell, played by Sam Rockwell, which is that sounds weird to say. works for Lunar Industries as the sole inhabitant and worker on a moon base harvesting helium-3, which is the energy stored from the sun's energy of the sun stored into lunar rocks. And he is on end of a 3-year contract, and it's got 2 weeks left before he's supposed to go home, and that's where we pick up. So, obviously, I'm a huge fan of this movie. It's something that I will kind of throw out to people and say, you want to see an interesting movie that not a whole lot of people have seen? This is a great one. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, surprisingly, but he spends the first act really just kind of tooling around the space station, going through his daily tasks, which entail like overseeing the rovers, loss of communications, or one of the rovers that's mining stuff. We got a live one.
He's essentially just a 21st century miner.
Yeah,
like a future miner.
Mm-hmm. And not even that. He's almost just like a super. Like he just fixes stuff when they break and supervises things and makes sure the robots are doing what
it's
they're
all
doing.
automated.
So I don't know about you guys. I'm a huge fan of Sam Rockwell. He's he's so good in everything he does. And 2 minutes into the movie, I just was chuckling to myself about how perfect of a fit he is for a sane person who's losing his mind, which I think anyone would do 3 years solo on the moon.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree too, because Sam Rockwell, in every role that he plays, he's a master of natural dialogue, like just like realistic dialogue instead of like you can tell when stuff has been written and when it's supposed to be theatrical and dramatic. But Sam Rockwell, he's like a real dude. He's a real dude in that situation.
He's a charisma king.
For sure.
Yeah, he brings a lot of life to his roles, I think.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
He has a very humanistic quality to his acting style that's very relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, when he starts losing it, that's something not a whole lot of actors can do really well without looking cartoonish. Yeah. His Wild Bill character in The Green Mile, his first movie I ever saw him in, you're just like, holy shit, this guy's insane. Yeah, and you believe it. Anything that sticks out to you guys from this movie, like right from the get-go?
I thought it was kind of fucked up that the original Sam Bell gave memories of sex to the clones. Like, why? Like, how is that gonna help anything with this kind of job that they're doing? Like, that just seemed very sociopathic to me when Gertie was eventually explaining in the movie, like, oh yeah, like the original Sam Bell he selected memories to put in the clones to, I guess, give them purpose. But the whole thing seemed really, the whole like operation that the lunar company was making, it just seemed really sociopathic. Like,
well, the implanted memories of banging his hot wife would probably be the least of my worries about all the atrocities that were committed by Lunar Industries in this movie.
Yeah. Two things that stuck out to me right away when this movie starts is the soundtrack and production design. Mm-hmm. Production design in this movie is actually insane. It is with all the buggies, the automated things that are mining the moon, the actual space, the station that he's in, Gertie, and pretty much everything, all the controls, and like it's all well thought out and well built.
Yeah, it's fully realized. You look at it and it seems it doesn't seem kind of haphazardly thrown together. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you this, guys. Do you guys like Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like is a strong word.
The composer who did Moon actually composed Requiem for a Dream. And I loved that soundtrack. So the music in Moon was very good to the style that he was going for. Also, most notably, he composed Doom 2005, starring The Rock in one of his first
Carl
roles.
Urban.
Oh yeah, Doom. Yeah, the recreation of that video game.
Movie.
Yeah, the Hardcore Henry before Hardcore Henry was around.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very natural having a kind of a bleak, kind of a sad space movie with a score that is like a soft classical piano. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'd call the score classical, but it's definitely in that realm.
Yeah.
You know,
It feels very melancholic.
yeah,
Definitely.
it felt a little 2001ish at times, where you're seeing him kind of bounding through space in his little buggy, and it's
Yeah.
just this kind of like soft musical motif playing behind him, and you're like, this is pretty beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration to 2001: A Space Odyssey in this movie, specifically with Gertie, the robot voiced by Kevin Spacey.
For sure. It's very Hal-esque.
Yeah, strangely though, you think that he would feel more threatened by Gertie, but
You almost do.
You like get to that borderline of like being questionable about him, because he obviously knows about the clones and stuff, but specifically in one scene in the movie that he says, "I'm programmed for the well-being of Sam." So it's a little disarming at the same time when he says that, because that's all he's programmed to do is for the well-being of Sam.
Keep Summer safe.
If you don't understand that reference, you're not smart enough. I'm just kidding. Now Gertie, you kind of feel like he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, I think, from the beginning, and then you see him trying to be all slick at the beginning of Act 2 when he's talking back to home base, even though supposedly comms are broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's a damn robot. He should be able to be slicker than that. He sees him like limping down the hallway, and he doesn't just, shut the door or close that bay off.
He's an incredibly advanced robot because he's capable of withholding the truth. Like, he can't be... He's like an android almost.
Mm-hmm. And he's capable of projecting his emotions on that tiny screen, which is incredibly advanced.
The little emotes.
The smiley face.
I love the little emotes, and I love the little like slanty face ones.
Yeah.
Where he's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sam.
I don't know.
And I think that like shows like how I don't know, the movie, the year of the movie this movie is based in is 2035. Yeah, it's not too far away, and I don't think we're that close.
Better start harvesting the moon.
Well, on that fact, I looked up helium-3 to see if this was based off of a real life thing, and helium-3 sure as shit is a viable alternative energy source. And and so right now, nuclear power is based off of fission, like busting apart molecules, right, to create the energy.
Yeah.
And so helium-3 would be an essential component for fusion, nuclear fusion reactor, which would be taking two particles of an element and fusing them together to create the byproduct of the energy. Well, helium-3 is something that is almost never found in our own atmosphere and is a byproduct of fission. So we really don't get it, but our atmosphere filters it out. It constantly is being shot off of the surface of the sun, but the moon doesn't have atmosphere on it, so it just lands in the moon rock and then just absorbed there. And China is actually in the works right now of sending a manned moon mission to measure the depth of the crust of the moon and measure the density of helium-3 in the moon to actually determine if it's a viable source to mine it.
Wow.
The China Science Department like watched this movie and they're just like, oh shit, yeah, let's try this.
We gotta try it.
This has been in the works since about 1998.
Wow.
Thank you, Sam Rockwell.
Damn.
So Duncan Jones may just be an ultra nerd that said, "Holy shit, this would be a good movie." Instead of and he actually wrote this movie, the story for directly for Sam Rockwell. He wanted to make something with Sam Rockwell in it. Mm-hmm. And he
didn't want to change his first name, huh?
Didn't want to change his first name. Yeah.
That's just lazy.
Do you know fun trivia about Duncan Jones, the son of David Bowie?
What?
Yeah, David Bowie's son.
David Bowie had children?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, and they're not mixed race because his wife was like that super dark skinned like supermodel.
Yeah, Iman. Is it Iman?
Yeah, I think it was Iman. Yeah, but it must have been from before or his wild college days. But
I don't really know much about David Bowie history, so I'm just
insane.
like, oh,
he's got one pupil that's permanently dilated. That's all I know.
Yeah, because he got punched in the face.
Oh, really?
Is it
Well-
it because is it like Marilyn Manson removing a rib to suck his own dick?
It's just like that, yeah.
This was more. Yeah. His middle name is Duncan Zoe Haywood Jones,
Duncan's
spelled Zowie.
Of course, it is.
Zoe. Bowie. Zoe. No, I thought it was kind of weird because all his credits, when I looked through IMDb, Duncan Jones's credits were like source code, mute, Warcraft movie, Moon, and then it was all these like bios about David Bowie. And I'm like, huh, that's weird, as himself. And I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Oh, he's in it.
Yeah, he's a talking head in documentaries about his dad, basically.
One thing about Moon that I really liked was when they were on the surface of the moon, it felt really claustrophobic, which I would imagine that's how it would feel being in space alone, because you have this huge space around you, but at the same time, like, you're alone. Like, it feels...
Well, it's completely dark.
Yeah. But they really encapsulated the actual physical set into that feeling, because when you're looking at him going in the like buggy or whatever it is to fix the harvester, if you look in the background, like, it looks like a wall, which apparently they use miniatures to do some of the scenes in here.
Surface of the moon, the exterior shots were all
it
models.
looked like miniatures.
Which is, I really appreciate that, though, because it really felt like, Sam Bell is in this alone. He is in this alone. And it felt that way because it felt boxed in. Like, it just... very claustrophobic feeling, and I love claustrophobia in movies.
Very ironic. In space, yet...
the biggest place in the universe, space.
is the universe.
It is the universe. That's fine.
The biggest place in the universe is in the universe.
Yeah, I will say the whenever they were outside on the surface of the moon, I like the lighting they have on there. It's just like this. It's this white, bright
ultra white
light. Yeah, this harsh, like, that is like very intense, reflecting off the buggies. Very
unfiltered sun.
Yeah, overexposed almost, but it's like intentional.
There was one single shot where it's at the it's at the end, so I won't skip to that point, but when Sam is in the crashed rover and he's staring out and he sees the Earth over the horizon line of the moon.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems a lot bigger than I would imagine it to be, but I don't know, maybe it is that big.
The distance from the moon?
Yeah, like how big the Earth looks like in that distance from the moon.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been there, so...
I've never been to the moon, so I'll take them at their word.
It definitely felt awe-inspiring when you were looking at the imagery, though. You're like, oh, shit, like, this is... this is it, dude.
There was, on your topic, Joseph, of the set design, the space station was designed to make it look like it was made out of, like, makeshift concrete blocks instead of... most futuristic space movies will be like metal and aluminum and kind of that space age aluminum foil looking fabric,
Yeah, that's it. It was very
industrial.
Yeah, it was this and Moon. It's like 2001, where it's like it looks like cushy and solid and a little bit more inviting as opposed to a movie like Sunshine or something.
Yeah.
Very like you're in a factory or something.
Well, one of the crew on the production team that was in charge of the set was actually part of a investment group and a design team that was researching ways to make a concrete like material that if you were to be able to go to the moon, they thought, well, if we're going to build a moon base, if someone's going to build a moon base, they're not going to lug all these materials up to build this moon base. They got to make it out of what they have on site. So it was taking that, like, quote unquote soil on the moon that's totally different than anything we've ever felt, and manufacturing that into an on-site concrete cinder block sort of thing that's interlockable. And I don't know if they ever created a patent for it, but she's like, well, why don't we make it look like it's made out of like concrete and cinder block, and then we can finish it off. And that's kind of what they did.
Cool.
Makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense, and I
More true
really
to life.
appreciate this. I really appreciate this movie for the realism feel, specifically with the clones of Sam Bell,
Yeah.
where how they introduce the clones to the real world.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting to see, like how they start them off as, oh, you were in an accident.
Yeah, it's always, and it's like they think they're at the beginning of their like 3-year contract.
Yeah, there's an accident when you landed on the moon and you hit your head.
And
We give you memories up to that point. Now you fill the rest in.
And even up to the point where it was about the clones, well, when Sam 1 and Sam 2 ran into each other, that was very realistic on, like, how would you feel if you saw a clone of yourself? There was really a lot of aggressiveness towards each other, which I think, like...
That's weird, though, to me. I don't know if I would be mad. I
don't think it's mad. I think it's just, like, instinctual. Like, you, like, see, like, a threat, like, the ultimate threat, which is yourself.
I don't...
maybe.
Yeah, I don't see myself as a threat to myself.
Yeah, I would want to do. I'd have a lot of questions for my alter ego. I don't think I'd be that angry.
But it's not
I would
even...
immediately try to kill myself.
It wouldn't even...
The second one.
I'd be trying to make out with myself. It would, like, I don't know how I would feel seeing myself, because, like, it's not really an alter ego. It's exactly me.
Well,
you're
the
right.
the Sam that got injured in
Old
the
Sam.
rover, the old Sam, he was like really accepting about the
the difference
clone.
is that he's been around for a while. He's been around for 3 years already, and
And he's also crazy now.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, maybe he thinks it's like. So what I got from this was he thought it was a figment of his imagination, and he was just like dealing with it like, oh, it's like very as matter of factly he was dealing with his figment of imagination, but it was actual real clone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe he just had lost just any care in the world. He's just like, I just want to get the fuck home. I don't give a shit.
I viewed the new Sam Bell as like almost like a newborn, like almost like a child, because like he's still like learning all this shit. Because Sam Bell is like the old Sam Bell, it like teaches him stuff. Like he shows him, like he doesn't know how to play ping pong. He's like, the new one sucks at ping pong. The old Sam Bell is like a pro. The model of the town, he like sort of shows him how to do it.
Yeah, hey, don't hold it like that. Hold it like this.
Yeah, so he was almost like a father figure.
Well, that was I wrote that down in my notes that it was the two of them. It was like old Sam was the stepdad, and new Sam was this angry teenager that just was angry for no reason.
Yeah.
And he no matter what this guy did, he's like he's like, hey, can I shake your hand? I've been alone for like 3 years. Is that okay if I shake your hand?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, maybe later.
Yeah.
Like, I can relate to that.
What's interesting about that is I thought that it proved that clones can have their own personalities, not that he was like being a father figure, but it was just that if you clone someone, they're not going to be an exact copy of the person that you cloned. They're going to be their own thing because they're their own person, because they're a human being, and that's how human beings are.
Yeah.
They like to be as unique as possible.
Gertie says that they have to reaccount for anomalies in the DNA and the restructuring. And that's part of their whole like awakening process for the new clones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
yeah, that's
but
right.
but you have to account for there's 3 years of insanity that old Sam has been slowly slipping into.
Yeah.
That accounts for the difference. So if they were to wake up two clones side by side and be like, surprise, you're in the world now, would they be different or would they not be different?
And that's why I love this movie, because the possibilities are like endless with this.
Yeah,
and it makes you think.
It's different because the old Sam, obviously, he has been around for 3 years and has been having different experiences. Each one will have different experiences, even though they're doing the exact same duties of the job. Like, I feel like along the journey of this 3-year contract, they're gonna experience things differently and then end up differently by the end.
And 3 years is a long ass time to be alone, which I mean, there's not even prisoners who are in solitary confinement for straight up
Like 3 months.
years.
Yeah, 3 months would be considered cruel and unusual punishment. I think that's probably why they needed to make sure that Gertie was capable of having conversations with them and stuff.
I was alone for
Yeah.
18 years before I met Deanna.
That was the first day of your life.
Yeah. I have been born. I'm alive. I am awake.
So in the second act, I really liked the interactions between the two of them. Where
Yeah.
he's shouting at the other one, "I'm not a clone, you're the clone," and I couldn't help but put myself
I'm Sam
in.
fucking Bell.
Yeah, yeah. I liked how Gertie too was not denying anything. He'd be like, "Who's that guy in there?" It's Sam Bell. And he's like, well, "That can't be right. I'm Sam Bell." And he's like, "Yes, you are Sam Bell."
Yeah.
You're like, "You asshole." and then he outright asks him near the, kind of halfway through the second act. He says, "Old Sam." He's kind of losing his shit, and he goes, "Gertie, am I a clone?" And Gertie just pauses for a second with his little frowny face, and he says, "Are you hungry, Sam?" And then glides away.
So yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Well, it proves that Gertie has the best interest for Sam Bell, though, because he knows that's going to upset him, so he's trying to, calm down the situation.
Yeah. And I feel like the whole like I'm a clone, like that whole thing, it kind of goes from transfers from first it goes from old Sam to new Sam, like because at first new Sam is like in denial, like, he's like doesn't want anything to do with him. He's like being a dick to him when he like first like talks to him, like when he's working out doing the jump rope and boxing. He's like what. He's like
that's what I was getting at. It's like I think like either one of them thought they were a figment of each other's imagination. Like what I got from it was that they didn't really like believe that they were both real. Like one of them was fake to one and the other. But then eventually when they started arguing like really, more harshly and started physically contacting,
fighting,
then that's kind of like that's why I think that when clones see each other, they want to kill each other. I think that's just the natural thing, and I love that. I love that sort of struggle when I'm watching movies with clones, is because they always want to kill each other, and I mean I gotta say I try to kill my clone. I would.
You tried to?
I would. I did one time when I started.
Why aren't you
Area
telling
51.
us, Tyler? Is this your whole attempt to live to age of 200 through clones? That's cheating.
You can't just clone
Just
yourself.
downloading my mind.
This isn't altered carbon, Tyler.
What I thought was interesting was that obviously the corporation didn't intend on having two Sams overlapping and being both awake at once.
Yeah, because they're stupid billionaires.
So obviously there are different stages in their life cycle, and the old Sam has, he's been there for 3 years, so he's known that he's had a kid that's been growing up, over the 3 years, and then he shows the picture of his daughter to the new Sam, and the new Sam is like
New Sam, his baby hasn't even been born yet.
Yeah, it's like he's like, who is this? Like he doesn't say it or anything, but you could tell that he's like confused and like
he's trying to take it all in.
He's not there at that stage of the life cycle.
Yeah, this movie, it just like it portrayed, even if you take away the clones and all of that stuff, and it's just two people stranded on the moon. It really portrays the confusion of being isolated for so long, because humans need social connection, and I feel like after having 3 years of no social connection, meeting someone, that situation was done very realistically, and that's why I love Sam Rockwell. He's a master of being very relatable in his character roles.
You think he got 2 paychecks for this movie? He did twice the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say his props to Gertie for finally coming clean and then just like completely airing it all out. Like, all right, well, they already know.
Yeah, like he.
Well, yeah,
he
it was
goes
for
on
the
their
well-being
side.
of Sam.
And I liked speaking of tension cutting dance scenes. There's a really fast scene where he's puts Walking on Sunshine on and
Oh yeah.
dancing like a goober. Old Sam as he's basically falling apart like a leper.
Yeah, he's accepting his fate almost. Like he's
Yeah. Did you guys? What did you think about his slow decline into most certain death?
I really like that because that's really realistic with all sci-fi clone lore. Is that clones
There's
are
clone lore?
programmed to? Well, kinda. Like if you think about it, like every clone story I've read in like the sci-fi genre is that clones are programmed to die at a certain point because
What
they
about
are
the
a
sixth
threat.
day?
On the what?
What about the sixth day, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh shit!
They clone themselves to stay alive.
What about
Don't
the
they?
Clone Wars, Tyler?
Okay, well, you're right.
Theory is false.
As soon as I
Fallacy.
started talking about it, I thought about the Clone Wars, and
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but Star Wars isn't sci-fi; it's a fantasy.
but I
It's a
feel like
fantasy.
humans. I feel like humans would realistically put like a time limit on clones that are supposed to be slaves to corporations. I
They
thought
would
that
just-
was realistic, and I like that. Like every 3 years, and well, if you think about it, they're like in unprotected Earth. You know,
It's international waters.
What
There's no,
Yeah.
there's no laws.
if they can make Gertie? Why can't they just make androids?
But
Like,
that kind of
That's a good
speaks to
point.
like that.
That's a great point. Why couldn't they?
that's-
Why couldn't they just have a robot go out there and maybe they're just not advanced enough?
Well, that speaks to the sociopathy of the people who are in charge of this program. Is that they think that a human touch is what makes this operation successful. So, so they're putting these clones through hell, but they're out of sight, out of mind. They don't give a shit, but they're actually, feeling human emotions.
The way I interpreted the whole decrepit falling apart thing of old Sam was that I've heard before, I don't know how true it is, that there's a constant bombardment of radiation when you're in space.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because there's no ozone to protect you. And I mean, yeah, you're in a spacesuit, but like that's like
Maybe
unfiltered.
the money to build a space station that was also radiation proof was a lot more expensive than making all these clones. And so they're like, well, okay, well, we can make a clone. He'll last about 3 years, so
Let's make another
whatever.
one.
Just let him die and pop
That's
him in.
exactly
Because
what
it's
I was
all,
thinking.
all his symptoms are radiation poisoning. It points to
Yes.
radiation poisoning.
Yeah,
His teeth are
yeah.
falling out. His skin is getting pale and clammy.
I viewed it as like just, well, I mean, on the surface, I suppose, like that's the whole radiation thing. That's like a little nerdy. But you could view it just as like their expiration date.
It could be, yeah, that absolutely could be that too, I think.
Yeah, like they could, I don't know, they could only limit it to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But why only limit it to 3 years? Maybe that's just like in the prime age of Sam Bell.
Maybe that's when they realize that a person, like a normal human mind, can only take 3 years in solitary before it literally loses its shit.
Yeah, and then they just have their organs fail and everything, and literally just fall apart.
Or Lunar Industries is bombarding them purposely with radiation.
Maybe.
Maybe it's in this food. Maybe Gertie's shooting it at him. But Gertie
Or
couldn't do that.
maybe it's the technology that they're using that is creating all this radiation. They're like, well, we can't have a human. We need a human touch to make this operation work, but we can't have an actual human, which brings up a whole slew of human rights, like our clones actually subjected to human rights. Anyways, Moon.
Luckily, we won't have to worry about that for another 20 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
This is why I love Moon, though, is because it's such a simple plot, such simple storytelling, but you think of the implications of the things that they're presenting, and it gives you. For me, I love daydreaming. Like, I'll daydream all the fucking time, just staring off into space and think about this shit. Moon gives me that that fuel to think of imaginative ways of how the future is going to be.
Yeah. Do you guys think that, jumping to the end here, how the movie ends? Do you think it like revealing the true nature of the corporate greed? Do you think that doomed humanity because they were providing clean energy to the world essentially?
No.
I don't at all. Go ahead, Tyler. You sound like you have something to say about that.
So they were talking about, at the end of the movie, you could hear the news stories anecdotally
Yes.
about how, like, oh, this clone is going to testify in front of some sort of body of government or whatever. I can't exactly remember. Actually, I just want to say about this, the funny story is Friday, it was a pretty stressful day for me, so I came home, got a little litty, came back, and I was like, I'm going to watch Moon. I'm gonna watch Moon. I love that movie, and so
There, I said it. I'm gonna do it.
and so I threw Moon on. You know, I was taking notes and stuff. You know, doing my thing. But like, I was a little drunk, so I was just like, I passed out. About like a quarter of the way in. And I woke up and it was like the credits and I was just like, oh shit. I rewatched it and stuff and like got like legitimate notes, but I thought that was funny.
You gave it the root canal treatment when you fall asleep at the dentist when they got the TV on.
Exactly.
You wake up and you're like, what? I thought Space Jam was on. It's just the credits.
To bring me to my point, though, I think that nothing happened because in the future there's such available information for everything that this was probably just another blip in the international community.
I think everyone already knew what was going on anyways.
Yeah, that could be it too. I mean,
they mentioned in the
maybe,
news broadcast. On the news broadcast, one of the ones that they cut back and forth to, it says, where's my notes here? It said something about clone number 6 of Sam Bell, blah blah blah. And if you look when they go under the secret tunnel, secret hatch where all the other clones are stored, there are 6 red pods that are illuminated.
Mm-hmm.
So new Sam is clone number 6. And
I actually really like that. I really liked that there was a whole storage unit of clones because it just showed you like how far they were about to go with this, which brings me, actually what it reminds me of is the have you guys seen Prometheus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the owner or whoever of Wayland Corporation,
Guy Pearce.
Yes.
Old Guy Pearce.
Yeah, old Guy Pearce.
Horribly
old man
make-upped
Pierce.
Guy Pearce.
So old man Pierce, the reason why he had the people he selected go to the Prometheus planet was not because they were the smartest or the brightest of their fields.
Mm-hmm.
It was because they had faith. They had faith.
Oh, they believed.
Which,
What
yeah,
the hell?
they had belief, which they were good in their field, but at the same time, though, they had that mistake of not looking at things logically, which is why in Prometheus, there's a lot of stupid mistakes that happen. Anyways,
What about the Scottish guy? He didn't look like he
I was gonna
believed.
say, you telling me the Scottish geologist that looked like the wildling from Game of Thrones
Like Tormund.
Yeah, Tormund, Giant Spain.
my point being is that these billionaires of the lunar company had that sort of faith-based ideology that didn't really align with science or anything. They're just like, oh yeah, well, we need to make this really profitable, but we're also sociopathic and we want to create human clones to torture up in space because we hate humans.
You think serious question? You think a sociopath ever thinks that they're a sociopath?
Well, I don't know. I think they do a lot of things to justify their behaviors, so I think that they're like, no, I'm not a sociopath because I do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I'm a billionaire. How could I be a sociopath? I provide so much for the economy.
All rich people are sociopaths.
Oh yeah.
That's how they got rich.
Let me see. Any more notes that I before we wrap this thing up? Before I didn't.
Did you guys think? What did you guys think about? What does it say about the original Sam Bell, that he allowed himself to be cloned and that his clones are being basically subjected to 3 years of insanity and isolation?
So I thought about this.
Good question.
You know, at first I was like, oh, Sam Bell knew that he was being cloned and he got a lot of money. But I thought about it this way. I think that he actually did stay in the moon base for 3 years and
I think so too.
And underwent all of that to go to his wife and child, which, you know, as you find out later in the movie, that his wife is actually dead.
Yeah.
But I think he actually did go through the 3 years of insanity, and he went back. Like, his wife died of something, I don't know, like, life happens, and he's just living his life. And the company is probably compensating him very well because he did that.
And it's so far, it's on the moon. Who cares? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
in the eyes of the OG Sam Bell, he's probably like, you know what? They're gonna go crazy up there. I went crazy up there. How bad can it be? Who cares? You know, outside, out of mind.
But they're gonna die. That's the difference.
Oh, you know what I'll do though? I'll leave him a little hint of me banging my hot wife. That memory, so just to keep him, just to tide him over.
See, that's fucked up to me.
Would you rather if you had to only live for 3 years as an adult, would you rather not have the memory of having sex at least once, or would you rather have that memory implanted in you so at least you can experience it in your dreams?
I don't know. I don't know if I would like
answer the question, Joseph.
To not know what I was missing.
I guess. Well, you know what? Actually, I guess it really wouldn't matter because in this scenario, they would have been implanted with all the other memories of their upbringing too.
Why do they need memories in the first place?
To give it to the human touch, you know, because the people who are creating the clones recognize that having a human mind is advantageous to an operation like this.
Can't they fabricate memories? Can't they?
That's what I was thinking. They should have made better memories.
That's what I was thinking too. So that's why it brings me to the sociopathic billionaire theory. Is that
it all leads back to the billionaires being a sociopath?
Listen to me. It all makes sense.
Tyler, capitalism works. Get over it. No, I think they should like make them like world class like lacrosse Olympians or something like that. All the Sam Bells, like something cool. They're like, oh yeah, back home I was a yo-yo champion. Do you know that, Gertie?
All American, all American, all state.
Yeah,
Heisman.
exactly. The Heisman in yo-yoing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the memories are, you know, they just make his want to go home like stronger, and then which makes him want to investigate further into like what's actually going on.
Yeah,
I think this movie was a real message on the human condition.
Oh yeah,
because I don't know, like humans are insane creatures, and you put them in these like impossible situations. They improvise, they do human ass shit.
Human ass shit.
And I think Duncan Jones really, really achieved that realism with Sam Rockwell. And actually, you know, it's funny that he wrote this movie for Sam Rockwell because this movie felt like it was written for Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, it's you know, I think we said it last week on 310 to Yuma that it would be a very different movie if Keanu Reeves was playing Christian Bale's part, but it really would be weird if
imagine
it was
Christian Bale playing Sam Rockwell's character. Like, it would be really weird.
Yeah, it would be weird if David Spade was playing Sam Bell in this.
Oh my god, no, that would work though.
It's Owen Wilson. He's like, wow, a clone.
I don't know. Honestly, it's funny that you bring up Owen Wilson and David Spade because I feel like that they could actually play a dramatic, serious role in something like this.
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know.
John Travolta.
Ben
Yeah.
Stiller couldn't though. Ben Stiller, like I would have to say, Ben Stiller would bomb this role. I don't think he has the.
What do you have against Ben Stiller? Leave him alone.
I don't have anything against Ben Stiller. I just
What's
think
wrong
that
with you?
Yeah.
He does.
Why
he
don't you
does-
like Ben?
Hey, he doesn't have the caliber of Sam Rockwell. Okay, they're completely different games at this point.
So a couple closing things, little tidbits of trivia on this. This was shot during the writer's strike. I don't know if any of you guys remember that going on.
Yeah.
but
I remember.
Oh yeah, I do
huge
remember,
writer strike in
yeah.
Hollywood. It was a big deal. No one wanted to cross the strike line, and so the lots were relatively pretty empty, and there was not a whole lot of production going on. So
Yeah.
Duncan Jones got a lot of special effects people that were way out of his price league for a $5 million budget movie, and was able to make a much more beautifully made movie, practically, for a $5 million budget, because everyone was willing to just work. They were like, well, I'm standing around anyways, can't produce anything.
I
Yeah.
actually read that this movie was shot in 33 days too.
8 of
That's-
which were outdoor shots with the models.
That's crazy. This guy, there was a lot of work put in this movie, and you can tell like it was a
Yeah.
labor of love for sure.
But and it was nice too. They only really had about 3 or 4 set pieces. It was this beautiful, huge, impressive space station, the rover, a couple of like flashback scenes.
The Rover, starring Guy Pearce and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a set piece in this movie. And then this little side B story plot that never made it into the final cut was that the cylinder that new Sam Bell is lugging around as he gets rocketed out towards home and his escape hatch is supposed to be a single cylinder of helium-3, which is worth about $15 million, which he was going to use to, go on the run when he got back to Earth.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which is a way less than what a cylinder actually would be worth in real life. They said something when I did the research about helium-3 being real. An actual space load of it would be something like, I don't know, I think it was something like $45 billion for one space load.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
So it's an
Why?
actual, I will repeat, an actual viable thing that could happen in the future.
NASA, if you're listening, Moon.
Moon, watch it.
Moon, watch it. Make it happen. Chop,
Which
chop.
actually, I read the IMDb article before we got into this discussion, just to kind of familiarize myself with the plot synopsis. I read on their trivia section that the director actually showed this movie to NASA to
Oh,
get
cool.
their opinion on it. And I guess they made some suggestions on changes on how to make it more realistic. I can't remember exactly.
And then he did
what
none of
changes.
those.
I can't remember exactly what changes.
He's like,
they
shut
were-
up, nerds. Any other closing thoughts?
I have a question though. So, like, watching this movie when it finished, I couldn't think of another movie to compare it to. I couldn't, like, if you like this movie, you should watch this movie as well. Like, I couldn't think of a movie. Could you guys think of another movie that you would recommend along with Moon?
Like a
Well-
companion piece?
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Watch 2001.
Well, it's funny that you say that, Joseph, because I had this exact discussion with myself while I was daydreaming because I'm actually insane. I first reacted with, oh, you should watch a 2001 Space Odyssey because there's a lot of homages to this movie, which I appreciate a lot with the homages they make.
Wait.
But
Hold on.
Yes.
How are you saying homage?
Homage? Homages?
Homages.
Homage?
Homage.
Look at all these homages.
Hey, I mean, you know what I say is, if you understand what I'm saying, it doesn't matter how I'm saying it.
Yeah, that's true.
Homages.
Ma, come on,
Anyway.
look at this homage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
You
a
know what I'm
fucking
talking
cat
about.
out here. All right.
You know what I'm talking
Fucking
about.
homage.
Fuck English, dude. I'm making my own language.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
So my first reaction was watch Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Then I thought about it more, and I was like, I don't know. Like, you can watch a Space Odyssey, but I think a really good complementary movie to this one would be Interstellar, starring Matthew McConaughey.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it has that sort of cerebral space feeling to it, and it's a lot easier.
Definitely a broader scope movie.
That's what I was thinking as well, is that it's an easier movie to get into if you're trying to get into sci-fi drama. Now, after Interstellar, I would say watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, because if you can get through Moon and Interstellar, you're ready for Stanley Kubrick's...
What about Stanley Kubrick's epic?
Yeah, space epic.
What
Space
about
op-
Solaris?
I don't think I've seen that.
I've never seen that movie.
It's directed. It was a 1972. It's a Russian movie. Directed by Andrei Tarkovsky.
Ooh, I do like Andrei Tarkovsky.
And I've definitely seen parts of this movie, and it's kind of in the vein of.
Did they remake Solaris? I feel like they
did. They did
Okay.
with George Clooney.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was thinking when you said Solaris, I was just like, I was thinking of The Fountain with Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
But then, I mean, essentially, there's this. So I've never seen Solaris, but in The Fountain, there is a scene where there's a huge bright orange light on Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a scene in Solaris with John Clooney. His name's not George Clooney anymore, guys. It's John Clooney now. There's a scene. I feel like there's a scene with George Clooney, and there's a bright orange light on him. I don't know, Joseph. Maybe there's a scene like that
In Solaris?
in Solaris. Yeah, you know,
Maybe.
because in The Fountain with Hugh Jackman, there's like this like bright yellow orange scene that is on his face, and he's like in awe.
I can't say I'm too familiar with Solaris, but I've definitely seen like clips of the movie in school, and I know it's like a sci-fi that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would follow that timeline. Interstellar, Stanley Kubrick's 2001.
Yeah,
and
after
maybe this
2001,
movie.
Solaris for sure, because the thing is about sci-fi movies, you have to be into science fiction to like science fiction. Like you're not. I think that's why I say Interstellar, because if you're watching Moon, like Interstellar is going to be a definitely gentle push into
The next step.
better sci-fi drama if you're really into that stuff.
I'd say if you're into a movie about like a single person being the lead, maybe Buried with what's that guy?
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. Doesn't feel like this movie at all, but you know, limited storytelling, definitely. You're in one single location through the entire time, and the movie succeeds or fails based off of one person's performance. That was definitely that movie, but I wouldn't call it a companion piece. It really was kind of its own thing, honestly.
Yeah. I was going to say The Nutty Professor. If you really want to see...
The original or the remake?
No, the Eddie Murphy version. If you really want to see an actor pull out all of his stops to give a hell of a performance, The Nutty Professor, and The Nutty Professor 2.
Come on, the Jerry Lewis original from 1963 is way better. He plays all 12 characters as well.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding.
And then from there you go to Austin Powers.
All right, so you guys want to rate it? We doing 1 through 5? 5 out of stars?
I'm gonna stick. Have I always have sticked with? I can't speak English currently. I'm rating it 4 out of 5. All right, it's one of my top 5 sci-fi dramas, and I'm gonna tell you this: my favorite sci-fi drama is Alien #1.
Alien.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alien.
All you gotta say is Alien. We get it.
Yes. Okay.
Alien #1.
Not Aliens.
Is that a sci-fi knockoff of Alien?
Alien number 1. It's like Love Potion
Sci-fi
number 9.
original.
I don't know. I just wanted to be clear that the first Alien is the
That's
best
fair.
sci-fi drama in existence right now.
Wait,
Of
I
all time.
thought it was a sci-fi horror movie.
No.
I don't know, the first one is really not much of a horror movie. I mean, there's very little jump scares, terror.
The first half of the movie is a drama.
Yeah. I mean,
Then
Yeah.
it gets scary.
Well, Moon is a 4 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed this movie. It evokes a lot of imaginative thoughts when you're thinking about this, when you're whatever you're doing, thinking about stuff.
daydreaming.
I love
Falling asleep
Moon.
10 minutes
Yeah,
in.
yeah, 4 out of 5 for sure.
Joseph?
Cool. I give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. Definitely a top sci-fi drama movie that is somewhat thrilling, like a casual thriller movie, much like my stream pick Cop Car. Just because of all the information that is being revealed of what's actually going on and the corporate greed and all that shit.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely a good, simple sci-fi movie that is still complex.
I match what Joseph says. 4.5. Fantastic movie. Easy go-to. You can put it on and pay attention to it or not pay attention to it, and it's still enjoyable either way.
You could be like me and pass out drunk in the middle.
That's right. Get all moony off of a couple of deepas.
Yeah.
I think that Sam Rockwell, if he wasn't in it, it'd be a totally different story. But this is, if anybody wants to see a great Sam Rockwell performance, it's this, and then Green Mile, which is a much smaller part, obviously. All right, that's it for Moon. So we're gonna move on to our Wheel of Destiny pick. Wheel of Destiny. Okay. Anybody out there who does audio production, video or audio recording, music production? If you create a theme song for the Wheel of Destiny, no matter how good or bad it is, I can promise you we will play it on air. So if you're listening and you're like, I can do that, I can do better than
Just don't expect
Tyler's
any
rendition.
royalties.
It's gotta be 80s chorus reverb distortion.
If we could get it electro noise grunge slam poetry style, that'd be great. I do have one thing before we do the Wheel of Destiny and sign off.
Okay.
So last week we talked about Fubo TV
Right.
and those prick bastards.
Did they respond?
No, have not responded.
Damn it.
So as of last week, it was a week from my first correspondence to the advertising department at Fubo TV, just looking to help out and expand their fan base as we were expanding our fan base. And I got no response. So I wrote them one more time, and I'll read that email now. Dear Sir or Madam, it's been a week since my last email, and after checking my junk mailbox and various Gmail filters, it seems that I've missed your reply. In the 7 days that have passed, Middle Class Film Class has tallied almost 50 plays to our dedicated audience. That's 50 potential customers for your supposed service. I'm going to assume that the majority of Middle Class Film Class's audience would support our sponsors out of sheer loyalty to the show, and at the very least, morbid curiosity to exactly what Fubo was all about. With your ultra-level package pricing of $74.99 and assuming a very conservative 85% sign-up rate from our rabid fan base, you've already missed out on $3,187 of revenue by not taking us up on our sponsorship request. Filling the void where Fubo TV could reside, we've turned to Pluto.tv streaming service. They provide middle-class film class and our listeners with streaming movies on demand, Walker Texas Ranger reruns, and more Gordon Ramsay and Mystery Science Theater 3000 than one can comfortably handle. Oh my God. Our loyalties now lie with Pluto TV. I hope you're happy. Pete.
That's awesome.
So
that is
so
awesome.
for anybody who is considering Fubo TV, I'm saying it right now, cancel your service. That's the power we have. Fubo TV, your move.
Exit that browser
And
right now.
on the last episode, like I was mentioning how I wanted an app where you could just mindlessly browse channels of random shows. Pluto TV is that. I can't recommend it
Yeah, it's
enough.
great.
If you have,
It's not a bit. We actually do watch them.
Yeah, and if you have an old CRT TV from the 80s, connect that shit to the Amazon Fire Stick and watch Pluto TV.
And document the whole thing with a Polaroid. Fax it in. Fax it to your friend to upload to Facebook.
Yes, please fax it. I have a fax number. I will disclose it on the website eventually when I get one.
All right, guys. Wheel of Destiny time. What's left on the
Destiny?
What's left on the wheel now? Escape from New York from Tyler.
Yes.
Mad Max Fury Road from Tyler.
Yes.
The Machinist from Joseph.
Yes.
From Beyond from Joseph. I don't remember what that one was about.
I
Joseph.
don't
What's
either.
that again?
It was a sci-fi horror movie directed by the same guy who did the Reanimator.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, the Reanimator. Okay.
Yes.
Double Down. Tyler or Joseph's pick with Neil Breen.
Double Down.
George of the Jungle, which is our other wild card pick along with Double Down.
Yes.
My only pick on the wheel right now is Stoker, and I'm replacing Moon with Tyler. You're gonna enjoy this. Annihilation.
Yeah. I love Annihilation. I love that movie. And if anyone's listening out there who likes reading the
I was gonna ask you if I could borrow the book.
Oh my god. Yes. Yes, you can.
Oh my God.
This made Tyler's day.
Yes.
Dude.
1,000 times yes.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. I'm so glad you asked that. The book series, the Southern Reach series, is the best. If you are a fan of special containment procedures, you will love the Southern Reach series. I am really into existential sci-fi horror, and the Southern
If you're into
Reach-
existential sci-fi horror and Containment Breach Protocol series,
Yes.
this is the book series for you.
Yes, it really is. So yes, Pete, you can borrow it for
Thank
sure.
you. And just so you know, since last week was fraught with controversy over my back-to-back lands on the Wheel of Destiny,
Oh yeah.
Better not land on
I'm
Annihilation.
videotaping
shit.
it this time.
Yeah.
I'm videotaping it this time in case it lands on Stoker or Annihilation. All right.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Wheel of Destiny.
Oh man.
I'm scared.
It's Annihilation.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God,
Are
we're
you
posting this
kidding
on
me?
the Facebook page.
Oh my god, 3 times in a row, man.
Okay.
Wow.
Now
Should we do a
we
respin?
can do a respin. I'm okay with that. I really don't want to host this
Well, I
next
don't know.
week.
It is the spin.
The wheel has chosen.
I will go with whatever the council decides.
All right, hold on. We're gonna respin and see what happens. If it lands on it again, we're watching it.
Is it a weighted wheel? Is that what this is?
Is it a weighted wheel?
Here's what I'll do. I'll spin. I'll put the wheel on a different square this time too, because I had it on the top.
Okay.
All right, ready? Double Down, Neil Breen.
Okay, we gotta watch that. We gotta watch that.
I'm okay with either one, to be honest.
Double Down, a movie we none of us have seen, right?
I have never
That's
seen Double Down.
true.
I
That's true.
really would like to see it. I think we should watch this movie together, though. We need to watch this movie together.
I'm okay with that.
Can I read the plot for Double Down real quick?
Yes,
Go ahead.
please.
A brilliant computer loner seizes Las Vegas and its terrorist attack while fighting against his fits of clinical depression and obsession for romance and death.
His obsession for romance and death.
And death.
Oh man.
Oh God.
Finally, we get to record an episode of How Did This Get Made?
Yes. Yeah.
Deanna! It landed on it!
Get in here.
So we have to talk about the accessibility of this movie a little bit. It's
Which
not a
is-
mainstream.
Yeah, not
Yeah, none.
acceptable at all.
The accessibility is 0. So if you know anybody that works at a bowling alley that sells bootleg DVDs out of his back of his car, you may be able to find this movie.
Yeah.
It's a really rare movie, which makes
You
it
could
really
sail
great.
the seas of the internet,
Yeah.
and you might be able to find it there.
Yeah, some dark places. Find some buried treasure.
Very dark.
So, all right, so we'll watch Double Down this week. We'll come back next week.
Yes.
Spoiler alert to a movie that no one will ever be able to see. We are going to spoil that movie as well.
I encourage anyone to find that movie as hard as they can.
And if you want, and if you really have a passion and you want to watch it before next week's episode, you can always come over to my house. We're going to do it. We're going to try to get together, all three of us, and watch it as a group. All right, everybody. So send us an email, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook. That's Middle Class Film Class on Facebook. Just search that in your search bar, and it should pop up. We are looking for new listener art. Title art, cover art. If you have any artistic talent at all, or know someone that does, and you want to throw your hat in the ring, or even just some fan art, we'd be happy to accept that. Any letters that you send over to us, ideas for the show, may get read on air. Yeah, I think that's it. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Please draw fan art. Please. Please. I need that validation.
What do you think we look like based on our voices?
The hard part about that, Joseph, is that we're probably every single person that listens to this podcast at this point in time knows what we look like, because it's all friends and family listening to us.
Everybody who doesn't know us, don't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know what Tyler looks like, draw him.
I hope there's some random person listening. Like, they're just listening. They're crossing the plains in the Midwest, going to New York City to find their dream. They're listening to this random movie review podcast. I like these guys. They're like a group of friends that I've never had.
And whoever's in Moraga listening to us right now, thank you. Shout out to the 5 plays we've got in Moraga, California.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to my brother in Sweden, taking a listen.
Oh, yeah. We're international.
Yeah,
The stats
global,
say so.
Worldwide.
We're prestige. Worldwide.
Okay, so next week is Double Down. Everybody get ready for that. Joseph, what do you have to tell the audience about Double Down?
Double Down is a movie directed by the incomparable Neil Breen, who's made movies such as Fateful Findings, his most recent being Twisted Pair, which you can surmise from that title whatever you want. It's not The Fruit.
And this is a movie with a budget of somewhere in the $10,000 range ish. You think?
Yeah, maybe.
A little off the Hollywood radar. Maybe made in the backyard or something.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, I saw Fateful Findings with you, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Can't wait. It's schlock.
I'm very stoked.
All right, guys. Until next week, we will catch you next time, and thanks for tuning in. See you later.
See ya.
See you later.